Ladies and gentlemen, we just want to welcome you to episode number 3 of The Light Leadership Diaries. We have a fantastic show for you again this week with some incredible speakers from different walks of life. We have a guest from a marketing background. We also have an entrepreneur who is an accountant by trade. But I can assure you, some of the things that they're going to share with you, they're going to really make you think differently. They're going to inspire you. They're going to motivate you. And most importantly, it's going to challenge you. So please be with us for the next 30 to 45 minutes. Grab your pen and paper and be prepared to learn.
Let me take this time to shine my light. Shine the light. Shine the light.
So, obviously, if you've been in the accounting stream, etc., most of the stuff you're talking about is obviously things that I know of. And one thing that strikes me is around, we have first year we have thousands of people all wanting to be CAs. Second year is 500.
Yeah.
Third year is like 50,
And honest, there's 10 of you.
You know what I mean?
Especially the blacks.
Exactly.
This is 10 doggies.
So for you, and then you find there are those who actually get into the articles, they pass the first board, they do the articles, and then and either they falter at the last, which is the second board. What kept you to get to that end? Because they also have bursaries. They technically they've got their life planned for them, and somehow they still falter at the end. And then they just lose it right at the end after all the 7 years of working so hard. What pushed you to get over the edge, to say, not me, but I'm actually going to go over that edge and get to this?
Similar to my earlier point.
Yeah.
And shame, I wish I had more wisdom to share. It was not a big deal for me. Like, it was just something it had to be done. Like, I often hear people talk about, passing the board and the board exam. Oh my goodness, how did you do it? Like, I can't tell you that there was this formula when I psyched myself and this thing was a big deal. I just knew what was on the other side. The other side was my career as an entrepreneur. I wanted to own and run really big businesses that create thousands of jobs, and I wanted to be a business leader. And there was this thing called being a CA and board exams and articles.
Part of the journey.
This is just what I gotta do.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So even when I look back, I don't remember thinking it was a big deal. I remember when I took my results. Obviously, I celebrated and I passed and threw a big party.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a surprise to me. Like, I wasn't like, oh my goodness. I would have been surprised if I failed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have been, whoa.
What
That
else?
was a blip in the road. I happened there. So, like, I don't think that there was kind of a formula or put my kind of mind to it. I was just clear about the outcome. I was just clear about the destination. I was clear about where this story must end. And I'm still clear. And all the things that one achieves now, and no disrespect to people that make you pause and appreciate what you've achieved.
Yeah.
It's good what we achieved.
Correct.
It's good what you've achieved, but
Yes.
I'm sure you also have sometimes that attitude that, it's a big deal, but like it's not.
It's not where I want to get to.
Yeah,
definitely.
because they're still there.
They're still there.
Don't get twisted by this. So I don't know if it's a big hoo-ha. I just think that if you're committed to your journey and to the place that you want to be, you will see through whatever blip there is on the road. I could have failed. I would just written again and passed.
Correct.
And if I failed again, I would written again.
Because it's something that had to be done.
It was just the thing that had to be done.
And I love the point that you made about creating jobs for other people.
Yeah.
For me, that is really a good point, or I'd say something that I resonate with. Because for me, even in my career, it's all about how do I impact other people?
Yeah.
How do I grow other people?
Correct.
I might grow you within corporate, or either how do I encourage you to become the best of what you are,
of yourself.
the best version of yourself. And that's what helps me sleep at night. And that's what also gets me to wake up every day and go to corporate. And that's why, for me, probably that's why the difference between being an entrepreneur and being within corporate is that for me, I want to create opportunities for young entrepreneurs to get into corporate, to get businesses. That is why I'm still in corporate. And that is why I would like to still continue to go in corporate because I want to open up doors for those who don't have the opportunity. Because I know with being in corporate, I'd say working at, I'd say white companies, if you want to call it that. Sorry for my language, but it is what it is. We know that it's very difficult for a Black young entrepreneur to step into the door if someone does not create that opportunity, or if someone does not open that door for you. Because in most cases, we normally don't have, I'd say, the capital to drive the business. So if someone does not create the opportunity, who's going to do it?
Exactly.
And that's why I'm there.
And I must tell you, that is a very unique trait that resonates mostly with us as Africans. And the part of the reason that is because your own journey as a professional, someone helped you.
Yes.
You know, from your mom to all that sacrifice she made, and many other people that probably came through your journey.
Correct.
So we carry this thing, and I think it's something we must protect with jealousy. Because not all cultures have it.
That's so true.
Most cultures in your same position, it wouldn't even occur to them that part of their role or their responsibility that they see is to create opportunities for other people, both as employees, but also as small businesses potentially to supply into the corporate.
Exactly.
Most leaders just don't carry that. I think as Africans we must hold on to that. It makes us us.
Yes.
You know, the fact that you're consciously aware of this thing. And wherever you are, in whatever meetings you're in, you're always thinking about how to create opportunities for other people. It's not universal, my sister. It's not something that everybody carries. It's ours, and we must own it and not apologize for it.
And I'm also
some people see it as a burden.
Yes.
You know, other people see it as, you know, here I am, I'm in this position of power, of authority, of leadership. And because I'm here as the only person of color, as the only Black woman, you know, so there's this huge expectation from other women that I'm going to now lift as I rise. And some people see that as something that is just so difficult for them to carry, versus if it's who you are, it comes naturally. Because to AK's point, you know, you didn't just get there. Yes, you could have performed, and that's the thing about corporate. Corporate is not just about how well you do in that environment. There's so many other elements and nuances that contribute to your success. You know, it's your brand. You know, how do you carry yourself? How do you perform? What is the perception that people have of you? Things that have nothing to do with you delivering on that day-to-day job.
I like the point you're making, but let's, at least my perspective, let's accept that it is a burden. This is what I would put forward.
That it is
so all it depends is, are you nosy and you are comfortable with your burden? In fact, you've taken it as a personal responsibility, and you're willing to thrive in that burden.
Correct.
It doesn't bother you that you are expected. In fact, you yourself expect that of yourself.
Correct.
Or you can be someone else who goes, this is a burden. I don't really do this. Why is it the black tax? Why is it that I'm not the boss? I must worry about every other Black person. Why can't I just be left alone? Well, I'm sorry. This is what society expects of you. You can ignore it and pretend like it doesn't exist. It exists. You know? And most leaders who really do well are those who embrace that. Because you're not an island. Someone else helped you get there.
That's so true.
So why do you think you can't help someone else? I mean, it makes no sense. Anyway.
And we spoke about, I mean, I'm still on this topic of shaping your mind and shaping your how you think. Michael, when we chatted previously, was talking about, you know, how his father shaped just from how he dresses basically, and his outlook. And
he blamed his father for his dress code.
No. I wasn't blaming. Shaped. But Michael has also, you've lived in different countries, and I'm always intrigued into how has that shaped your view of not just South Africa but the world and your outlook in life, just having lived in all these different countries around the world.
So I mean, you know, there's nothing. Perspective is everything. And if you grow up in a particular area, that is all you know.
Correct.
It's what you see, it's what you breathe. You're a product of your environment. Now, if your environment has changed significantly, I mean, I went to about 4 or 5 different schools. So what it teaches immediately is to be resilient. You learn, I've got to make new friends. I'm in a new environment. This is not home. And I can do one of two things. I can complain about it, or I can make as many friends as I can, build a network. And you know, and those are the things that I look now, when I look back, I think to myself, if I look at my network of people that I've met, friends that I've made, business associates, it's all been through working in different spaces, in different places, and embracing it. And it's really taught me as well to be resilient. That's cool. You know, having worked at an organization like Unilever where I was commuting between Joburg and Durban, I didn't want to live in Durban.
Yeah.
But some of my friendships that I've made, having met a few people, you know, you're from Durban, Tabani, you're from Durban, but I met you at an organization in Durban. I wasn't going to go there.
Correct.
Until I made that decision to say, look, I'm going to do it, but these are the terms and conditions. And as difficult as it was, but it was something that I had to do also. And it was uncomfortable. And that's the thing about, you know, sometimes your journey. People think that your journey is going to be easy. Your burden is going to be light. It's uncomfortable. It really is. And it's all about what is your perspective, what is your goal, what are you trying to achieve, what is the legacy you're trying to leave behind, who are the people you're trying to bring on this journey. And for me, I've always been very purposeful about that. You know, as you know, I love to plug people.
Yeah.
You know, my friends call me the plug.
Correct.
Because for me, it's about if I can help Nosi with, you know, this one thing that she's trying to do, and there's this person I know who knows a lot about what she's trying to do. Why should she try to figure it out about her?
Yeah.
I just say to her, here's this person, absolutely connect, and then the two of you can make something beautiful. And there's no expectation. You know, some people say, I want to cut.
Yeah,
I want an introduction fee. I want an introduction fee. I want this.
Yeah.
Maybe I should be doing that. I don't know. Maybe that's an opportunity. But I mean, for me, I've had many opportunities that I've met people at a particular time.
Correct.
I mean, Anthony talked about it. Meeting the right people at the right time in the right place who have connected me to somebody that has helped me with something that I need to do. So, you know, you've got to be open to experiences, to the journey, to meeting people, and being very deliberate about that as well. About you. You can meet many people.
Yeah.
But if you've just met and say, I know so and so, so what? You know? But it's about, what is it about that person that when I leave, that I want to connect with them? That when I leave, I've made an impact with them, that they also want to have this relationship. That it's not one way.
Correct.
But it's a mutually beneficial relationship.
And is that something you would call, because we talk about brand, you spoke about brand in corporate.
Yeah.
My belief is that you're a brand everywhere, right? So it's not about just in a specific environment that you are in. So whether in corporate, whether entrepreneur, whether just day to day who you talk to, there is a brand that people view you as, and that's who they call you. How important for you, I mean, for the three of you, is it, do you think, having a separate brand from a corporate environment / entrepreneurship environment to a personal environment? Or do you think that it should be the same brand that threads through both environments?
I think they're intertwined. You are who you are.
Yes.
You know, so there's a version of me that you meet in a workspace, but that person is still the same person in a social setting, and it's all about being consistent.
Yes.
You know, so if somebody talks about Nosi, I can guarantee you, if they've met Nosi in corporate, they've met her at a party, they've met her at a family function, Nosi, you know, her true DNA will still come through. The same with you, the same with Anthony, the same with all of us. There'll be different elements that I think will be highlighted because of the nature of how you met. So if I'm meeting in a business meeting and people are like, hey, you know, Mike is always funny. I can't be that funny person in a meeting because the objective is very different. But my personality will still come through.
Yeah.
You'll still realize, okay, no, Mike, you'll crack a couple of jokes just maybe to, you know, to take down the tension. But at the end of the day, there's a time and place for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. For me, it's all about consistency throughout, and I fully agree with that. The Nosi you see in a business meeting, the Nosi you see at home, the Nosi you see in the social surrounding is actually the same. She's a no-nonsense taker everywhere, and she calls you on it everywhere. So those personality traits always come out, you know, and they are consistent throughout. She loves laughing. She laughs everywhere because she loves everyone to be happy around her. So that I definitely agree with that. So that personal branding is, you're still that unique person. It's entrenched within your DNA. It is who you are. I don't believe in the notion, there's always a saying that people are different when they're at work and they are different when they're at home. You know, I don't believe in that, because for me that takes away the authenticity of who you are. Because you put on a face, a mask when you're in corporate, and I personally never encourage that, because you're showing people a side that is not you. You actually demeaning who you are. And I actually do not encourage that. Always be authentic to who you are, and that's what makes people fall in love with you, and that's what differentiates you from everyone else, actually, by the way. And people appreciate you for being that person, you know.
And in business, it's so important because people want to do business with people they like. Whichever way you cut this up, if I have to do business with someone that I don't particularly like, I'm going to go and do the business, and I'm going to get out of the relationship as soon as I can. And we all sometimes have to deal with people we don't like.
Correct.
But how pleasurable is it to work with that one person you just know?
Yes.
You know, you just know that, you know, when I work with Michael, like it's fun.
Exactly.
Things get done on time.
Yes.
There's no nonsense.
Yeah.
The quality of the delivery is there, and he's a really nice person. Like I want to do well with someone whom I have a positive disposition to.
Exactly.
Not someone with a negative. So it's important that, you know, I have a saying that don't be a schmuck.
Yeah.
Just don't be an idiot. Just try not to be a schmuck. Try not to be the person that go, Andile, guy. yo, that guy, you know. Just be the person who says, look, I don't know Andile, but every time I bump into someone, there's always something positive to say. I'm going to give him a shot.
Exactly.
That helps you in business, just not being a schmuck. So the consistency is important. And also people don't like people who pretend.
Correct.
Yeah.
You know, you want to meet an Afrikaans guy in Cape Town or a young person in Limpopo and say that Andile guy is like this at the same viewpoint.
Exactly.
Correct.
So I totally agree with you guys. It is absolutely intertwined. But in this Instagram life,
Yeah.
I would say, especially younger professionals, just be very careful about creating a persona that's different to who you really are.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, rather build on who you are.
Correct.
So if, for example, you're passionate about traveling, there's nothing wrong with you posting about your travels.
Yes.
Because then you're someone who talks about traveling. Even
Correct.
if I'm sitting with you at dinner, you'll tell me about this next place you want to visit. That's
Correct.
who you are.
Yeah.
You don't want to create a life of living A+ brands when actually that's not who you are.
Yeah.
Because at some point it's going to show.
Yes.
Yeah. And when it shows, I then start thinking you're like dishonest because you're not the
Exactly.
person I
I thought you were. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And in one thing that in my either mentoring and so forth, the one thing that I get asked a question a lot about is overcoming setbacks. And in my, obviously, when I've given feedback to some people, it's always been about the most successful people have had the most setbacks.
Absolutely.
What has been what you would say your biggest setback?
How much time do you have?
Okay, I think for me, probably I'd say the biggest setback. I will not mention the organization.
Yeah.
Is actually being told that you're not good enough. Yes, you're not good enough. You're not making impact enough. You know, and I was like, wow. And that was the feedback that I was given by my director at the time. And I was like, okay, is that how I'm viewed by the business?
Yep.
And she was like, yes. And you abdicate responsibility. And for me at the time, I was like, being a leader, I was not abdicating responsibility or my role, but it was about how do I put forward my subordinates so that they've got visibility. That's how I was actually seeing it at the time. You know, my job and my role was to lead my people, was to actually to give them the opportunities to be seen, you know, that they are capable and they can achieve. Hence me always managing at the back and not managing at the front and always taking the limelight. And that was a huge shocker for me to get that type of feedback. And that's actually when I decided that this is what you think of me. You don't think I'm good enough. And you know what? Let me just cut my losses. And I was like, you know what? I'm good to go. I know my worth. And I know what I'm capable of. In fact, I wouldn't be here if I wasn't capable, you know? And secondly, the role that I was in, I'd say the business wouldn't have gotten to where it is, you know, if I wasn't good enough. And that's when I said, you know what, I'm cutting my losses. And you know what, I'll take sabbatical leave and I'll go spend time with my family, with my mom, with my sister. We'll travel, and I'll sort of like reposition myself, into this corporate world. But that was a major setback to get that kind of feedback. But also what it did allow me to actually do was to actually say, you know what, in the next role or in the next company that I go to, it's very important when you are in the corporate environment to always, I'd say, to always try and find the balance of being a leader, but then also at the same time, positioning yourself in the right way in that leadership role, while you're also taking people on the journey, and also be cognizant of the fact that some people might view your leadership style very differently. How do you also start reshaping how you manage and how you lead without giving the perception that you're abdicating responsibility, and also how do you reposition yourself in the corporate environment? Because in the corporate environment, it's always important that you get seen, you get talked about, or you'll never actually progress. And that is how it's actually a corporate game. And that was a learning for me that this is a corporate game, and I need to be able to navigate myself in a way that also still allows me to do both, grow people and also position myself. So that was sort of, I'd say, my peak call and my biggest setback.
Okay. But the fact that setback make you take stock, to even take a sabbatical, unpaid,
Exactly.
for 8 to 9 months.
Yes.
Just go back and think and reset. And even the pressure, because now you're thinking to yourself, okay, I'm not employed anymore. How long am I going to do this for?
Yes.
What is my next journey? When am I going to be employed? What's going to happen? Am I going to bounce back from this perception? But I love the fact that you took that feedback and you didn't take that feedback and say, it's not true. You took it in, internalized it, and then you said, fine, it's still your perception, but there are some opportunities for me to work at myself.
Yes.
So that when I come back, I've got a different mindset and I can position myself differently while still doing what I've done in order to achieve what you've achieved in your journey.
Yeah.
That's a really powerful experience.
Yes. And being a mom, being a mother at the time, taking sabbatical leave. And obviously when I resigned, being told, are you sure this is the right decision? After you gave me the feedback that you gave me, what are you going to do? How are you going to leave? What about medical aid? And I said, don't worry about me. I'm fine. I'll be okay. I've got a plan. I'm a planner. So I'll be okay.
And that's also an example of someone who backs themselves.
Correct.
Because see, that's the crap thing about organizations. They run by human beings.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you might find that feedback had very little to do with you personally. There could have been a lot of things happening elsewhere that had nothing to do with you.
Yes.
But now it's coming and it's attacking you. And it's about you, and you could totally implode.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Because that's really painful feedback to take.
Exactly.
When you're mentally strong and you back yourself, you're able to take that on, make some decisions, and look at you now. I'm sure whoever that dude was,
Or do that.
he must be looking and thinking, yo, man, shame, man, I was wrong.
Definitely. Definitely.
I mean, AK, you in business? I mean, what are some
But
of
I
the
get you
setbacks?
see that in business there. Case like that every week. No, seriously, like we live in constant uncertainty. We're always pushing our luck. So here know a lot. Right? Like it's like I've grown such thick skin, doesn't bother me anymore. But there was a time that it did bother me. And I would say that probably the biggest setback in my career so far was something that happened circa 2010. Where for the first time in my life, I had to oversee shutting down a business. And I had to address 120 people on a Friday afternoon and tell them not to come to work on Monday.
Ouch.
Because there was no more work.
Ouch.
And that, I'm not gonna lie to you, even still just thinking about it, I remember everything about that particular day I had to eventually do it. But of course, it was months and months of hard work to try and save the business. I learned so many lessons about it. It was an industry we knew, but not as well as we understood marketing and comms and media. It was something outside of that. We had invested, we had borrowed money for this investment, and we put money into the business, and the business was growing and doing well. until the global financial crisis in 08, 09 hit the world. Most of our clients were US and European banks.
Oof.
You know what happened to US and
Yep.
European banks during the GFC.
Yep.
And literally our lives changed in a matter of months. Like our
Wow.
clients were gone, they were all broke. Some of them shut down.
Mm.
And that meant 90% of the business was gone. And that began the process of winding down the whole group. We sold some subsidiaries. We went from a share price of from about R2.20 a share to like 2 cents at some point,
Jeez.
which is really near the end. And this particular business I'm talking about was one of the subsidiaries, was a wholly owned subsidiary down in Cape Town. We employed about 400 people at a point. We were down to 100. We're trying to save this company and everything we tried. And I got involved now a lot more from a shareholder perspective,
Yeah.
a lot more involved in the business. You talked about straddling.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you are required, you must.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Step in.
So I literally lived in Cape Town for a time. I was commuting between Cape Town and Joburg. And we tried hard to save the business and it just didn't happen. And that particular Friday, the labor lawyers tell us that we have to get the people out of the building. We have to close the building. We must tell people to take their belongings. And at that point, you can't tell people why, which sucks. And I rented a room at the Cape Town International Convention Center. They put chairs for all the staff. The announcement came out to staff at about 2 o'clock that afternoon to please pack your belongings. There's a big announcement to be made. After we're done, we're not coming back to the office. At the point, I can't tell them you're not coming back to the office ever.
Ever, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And I had to stand up. I remember looking at this room and I was teary-eyed and my heart was broken. And I had to tell people the company's shutting down and all 100 of you don't have work.
Ouch.
What surprised me was the response.
Yeah.
Because I expected like, I'll be public enemy number one
Anarchy.
and people would be just like, lose their... People were crying and they all, most of them at least, came to hug me and thank me for trying.
Wow.
And
That
I
shows
just cried
the
even
type-
more.
Wow.
And that goes back to the brand piece.
Yeah.
I just cried even more.
Goes back to the personal brand piece.
Absolutely.
When I think about it now, you're right, Tash. You're
Goes
100%
back to
right.
the
When I think
personal
about it now,
Yeah.
but at the
Yeah.
time, of course, it is so heart-wrenching.
Yeah.
When I think about
Yeah.
it now, I mean, obviously we were shareholders in
Yeah.
Joburg. They had
Correct.
their managers in Cape Town.
Correct.
So at the beginning, they never saw us. There was no reason to see us.
Yes.
Exactly.
But as managers were leaving because they could see what was happening, vacuums were being created, and I was there Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
I'd have lunch with them. We'd try and solve accounts. We'd give discounts to try and sell that client. But no matter how much we tried,
Yeah.
it just didn't work. So when the people thanked me, I was surprised. But of course, now when I look back, I can see why. Because they saw the effort, they saw
Yeah.
the try.
Yes.
Even our funders, we lost money for funders.
Yeah.
So we had to go back now to funders and say, hey, you know that money you borrowed us? It's gone. Jen." And when they started going through kind of the workout process, every one of them said, we know exactly how hard you tried. Because I made it my business to report.
Correct.
Every time we won a client, it was a celebration. Every time we lost a client, it was say, hey, no, we tried this and this and that, it didn't work.
Yeah.
So it was a proper setback. I mean, for us as a team, it probably set us back a good 2-3 years. Where all we did was try to figure out how to resolve this thing. One, try to fix the business. Then the business shut down. Now we had to try and resolve the funding issue because we had raised money to buy this business and now this business is not being funded.
Right.
But then again, in that time, we won the Power FM license. So these things come in swings and
Yeah.
roundabouts.
Yeah.
Tabani, what's been your biggest setback?
There's been so many. Look, I think obviously for me, when you've moved in an environment where throughout you've just been, it feels like you've been succeeding, you know. But I think I wouldn't say setback. My biggest challenge was around similar period, like 2008 to 2010. And the business I was working in, I was what they call, I guess, trade marketing / commercial marketing type of role. And I was working on hair care, which is, but Caucasian hair care. So not just
You are working on Caucasian
hair care. Yeah.
You, a black man with no hair.
Exactly.
Now.
At that time, I had a little bit of hair.
She's still
Is that how we lost the hair?
Yeah. And the financial crisis hit. And what's the first thing consumers do in a financial crisis? They let go of luxury products, right? So they downgrade, etc. And in that, what made it tough was that in the business I was working in, we're declining month on month. A cheaper brand came in that just undercut all of our brands and started gaining share at a rapid pace. And in that period, I think I had 3 or 4 marketing directors resign. So they would come into the category, and literally 6 to 8 months later they resign and they're gone. Someone else comes in, they're brought in. All brand managers left at that time as well. Their assistant brand managers left all as well. So I was the most consistent at that time, and that's the resilience piece of saying, I started something. I need to leave when it's right. And then around 09-10, the change of strategy. So instead of moving with a beauty hair care brand, went with a brand that actually makes more sense. So and I can mention the brand. I mean, the brand was Head and Shoulders, which makes what I liked about it was that obviously the proposition of the brand made sense in that 50% of black people have dandruff. It's a brand that removes a problem. And so it was a lot more important to look at the brands that resolve a problem versus just a nice brand that just makes your hair shine better. And that's what started changing the business. The brand that was the biggest brand at the time really declined a lot, but this brand started growing. That strategy is what helped, and we started turning around share. And as we were turning around share, I was moved obviously into another bigger business because of that. But coming in every single morning, every single day, having to explain to the GM that I know that yesterday I said we will do these numbers, but actually we won't. It's going to be less than that. It was the toughest part. You know, looking at a brand and you're looking 2 years later, the category is, your business is half of what it was before. 100%. And you have to explain that to people. And for me, that's been the biggest challenge. And every single challenge that's come in after that, even though the people that were with me at the time were like, geez, we are going through the most now. And I'd be like, yeah, for me, this is nothing. Mm-hmm. That was my turning point, I think, even for my career. Right. And it's what shaped, obviously, also the way I think. Right. So, yeah, I learned a lot of lessons at that time around how resilient I can be, around how much I believe in motivation, and how becoming a beacon is a lot more important than just talking about stuff. So absolutely. You really living what you are talking about is a lot more important. Yeah. And that's the period that shaped my career, and it shaped my trajectory going forward after that, because my attitude was different, how I carry myself was different, and I think other people obviously started seeing that as well from a leadership perspective. Yeah.
We've come to that point in time.
Yeah.
We've had some incredible conversation about vision, about thinking differently. We've spoken about your personal brand. We've spoken about setbacks and how we've really not just adapted, but how we've learned from some of the things that have happened, and most important, how it's grown us, emotionally, psychologically, in our careers, how it's shaped us to the people that we've now become. And today's session was really a lot about that, because often we see people and we see what they've achieved, where they are, and we don't realize that their journey is not a journey that just goes straight up. So the journey, it goes up, it goes down. Sometimes there are a lot of lows for a significant amount of time before that high then comes. And it's really important to not just to inspire people, but really for people to understand that everybody that they look up to, and even in their own journeys that they're gonna go through, it's gonna have a lot of lows, and there'll be peaks. And it's important to celebrate those peaks, like you said, but don't spend too much time celebrating. Yes. Think about what your vision is and how does this help you get to the next level. So, I just want to thank our guests today. Andile, as always, your passion, your humility, your energy, and really your leadership. We just want to thank you. to say thank you for sharing your journey, your story. Nosi, thank you so much. You know,
Sure.
You're such a strong woman.
Yeah.
A strong woman who's endured a lot,
Yeah.
who's
Yes.
been through a lot.
Yeah.
And
We didn't even
and
unpack.
we didn't, you know.
Yeah.
There's been many things that have
Yeah.
happened in your journey, and your ability to continue to carry it with a smile
Mm.
and to continue to inspire other women, other people of color, and even us, you
Yep.
know, as your journey continues to unfold. So we just want to thank you for your time as well.
Thank you so much.
And to my co-host, my brother,
Yeah.
as always, thank
Yeah. No, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I think I keep saying for me, it's the purpose. And I think this show is about living that purpose. And for those who didn't believe at first, the purpose is about really building African leaders. And if you can learn from the show that, you'd be fulfilling my dream of really having African leaders leading Africa and getting Africa to play a significant role from an economic perspective with the rest of the world. If we can get that, I think we'll continue this journey.
Absolutely. Hence the name of the show, The Light.
The light.
It's all about the light.
Correct.
How can we shine the light on people's careers, on people's journeys, to help better them in their personal capacity as well as in their professional capacity? So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you once again for tuning with us on another exciting episode of The Light. So if you really enjoyed today's content, don't forget to subscribe right here to The Light Leadership Diaries. And after you subscribe, Tabani, what should they do?
You need to hit the bell notification so that every time we upload an episode, that you get communication.
Make sure that you like it. After you like the content, make sure that you comment on it and then share it with your family and friends.
Let me tell